Hi, this is Karen and Tim Titus from Stampin' on the Back Porch, and this is our podcast about creativity, paper crafting, and life.
A couple of weeks ago, over on my Facebook page, the Back Porch Stampers, I did a live, and we made, better not forget you,
Yes.
8 different pocket cards, all using this quick and easy style, and it's just a little card that's in a pocket, fits into a regular envelope. It's just this cute little thing. And one of my favorite things to say is that we are all more creative together than we are separately. So I put a challenge up for people to make up their own style of pocket card and post it over in the Back Porch Stampers. That's my Facebook group. We have had over 200 pocket cards posted there, and they are gorgeous. And people are telling the stories. It's just been really fun. So I will put a link to that below if you're interested in joining us. It's just a free group where we share our work and creativity. And then a couple of days later, Jjlie Heitz, who is a downline and also now friend, we met through this, called. She actually is known for quilt cards. She does a new quilt card every week on her Facebook page, and she does a whole lot with this. So she called and said, my aha moment, I was excited to try your pocket quilts. And then I was inspired by all the cards over in the Back Porch Stampers. So I made my own pocket card with a quilt. Surprise, surprise. I thought this quilt could be the hug somebody needs during these times. Then my mind started racing, and I had to contact Karen with an idea that was put on my heart. Would you be interested in collaborating with me on Project Pocket Quilt? What if we could encourage our communities to send a pocket quilt to those who we know could use a hug? Karen said yes, and so here we are. We worked out the details, and we may not be giving hugs in the way we're used to, but we can send a card, because a card is just a hug with a fold down the middle. And you can add a quilt to the card and really bring some comfort.
That's a slogan. A heart is just a...
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a common thing that a card is a hug with a fold down the middle.
I never heard
You
that.
never heard that
No,
before?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think you made it up.
Okay. So anyway, so it was really fun. One of the things I learned from her, and I just cracked up because I have made lots of quilt cards. I have lots of quilt cards on my blog. I've done videos on quilt cards. Never once until I learned from Jjlie have I thought to use grid paper, and I'm a quilter. so funny. So she was showing us how to use grid paper. She provided 3 really simple patterns, and we put out a challenge to see if we could get 50 people making a pocket quilt card and then telling the story of who it's going for, just because I think stories personalize things and they help remind us of other people in our life that we could do this for. Well, let me tell you, we are way, way, way over 50, and it has just been
In age
so fun. Both.
or in pocket cards?
But when I shared that comment about not using grid paper before, so I said, so my quilt's kind of often got a little wonky. I had to laugh at this because Rebecca wrote in, Karen, it's okay to be wonky. A wonky quilt card just means it's been snuggled in. So I had to start with that comment. So what do you think of this, Tim? Tim never ever has any idea of what we're doing. But you know that I'm a quilter and how much that I love quilts.
In fact, Karen, we've been married this summer 47 years, and she made me a log cabin quilt.
My very first quilt ever, and it was for you.
Yes, it
and
was.
That's back
And
when
we
we were
still have
dating.
it.
That was a long
Yes.
time ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I'm familiar with quilts, and I love them. And I think cards are the perfect expression of those, especially if you make them with cloth.
And yes, but you can do that too.
Can you?
Yes. And someone was just saying that she was going to do some with her fabric scraps and post them. And
Really?
I said, go for it. I love that idea. We all get to be so creative and just try out things. But I wanted to share then a couple of the stories that people shared about who they were making their quilt cards for. Because of what I mentioned before, that it just kind of inspires you to think of things beyond the obvious. So Sandy wrote that she made a quilt card for her mom. Her mom is a quilter, and she has a bunch of quilts that her mom has made. And she made one that was similar to one because now her mom is in a retirement villa and she doesn't have a sewing machine. She doesn't have access. She can't do that anymore. But what a nice thank you fun card. And of memory and kind of honoring what she did for her. I love that idea and patterning it after one of the quilts.
That is very cool, Sandy.
Paul said she is sending this to one of her best friend's dad, whose wife just passed away and was a quilter. I thought that is perfect, thinking of things like that too. Yep. And I thought,
in memory of.
Anytime in memory of a quilter. I even think these would be great for a sympathy card for someone who's a quilter. I mean, what a great thing to be remembered for. Which just remind me, several people were also sharing ideas for more masculine-looking quilts, and we were talking about how important it is to remember sending cards to men. So often we tend to think of sending them like to other women who might, especially ones who might also like to do cards, But it's just really important to remember the men. I know you love getting cards.
I do.
So that is a good thing. And I love this. Trudy said she couldn't wait to try and share this with her youth group. And I thought, what a lucky youth group to have a leader who thinks of things like this to bring in. And what a great thing to encourage our young people to do. I absolutely love that. It's kind of going that little extra mile.
It's like teaching kids in the inner city how to crochet, because there's schools that do that, and these young men are learning something that they'll have forever.
Yeah.
It is something like a little out of the ordinary, but
well, anything for
skill.
Boys when you just think of that, because we just haven't tended to think of, I taught our boys to knit. They didn't keep it up, but we did all that, and it's all just kind of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Just like girls get a chance to have shop.
And I used to do crewel embroidery.
Yeah, that's right.
Once.
Right.
I did.
Oh, did you? Okay.
For my mother.
Okay.
That little Daisy, Karen.
I don't even
I'll
remember
show it
that.
to you when we get back home.
Oh, okay. So you even have it. Was that the year we had to make gifts? We did a year where everyone had to make their gifts.
I did embroidery.
Okay, and that is pretty funny. Okay, you're going to love this one. This is Tina. She says, I can't love this enough. At my church, I'm known as the hugger. You relate to that? Yeah, she says, I love hugs. And COVID took that away from me.
Yes, it did.
Now I can make some pocket hugs cards and give those out. These are beautiful. I can't sew. I've never owned a handmade quilt, but someday I will. But I can do this. Thank you. Blessings and hugs. Isn't that awesome? I just love that. And like Cynthia said, it's heartwarming to know that there's so many caring people who are wanting to help do this with a simple quilt card. We are blessed and count it all joy that we can take a moment to lift someone up with the card. Beth said that she showed her comfort quilt pocket card for a friend who needs comfort after her daughter was diagnosed with cancer. You know where that hit me? And I have no idea if her friend's daughter is young, old. I mean, it doesn't matter. Anyone, I think as a mom, as a parent, to be thought of, we are parents forever, and we feel it if our kids are going through hard times. And I was just so touched by the idea of sending a card, because I usually think in terms of sending a card to the person going through this. But to send to the parent and just saying, I see you, I feel for your struggle. I thought that is just really very cool. And Noelle made one for her daughter, who has called her every day since this woman's husband has passed away. And I thought, oh, kudos to her daughter. That is pretty wonderful.
Very thoughtful.
And then Nexus came to Jane, wondering if we couldn't use this as kind of like the prayer shawl idea. And when I went through my breast cancer journey 8 or 9 years ago now, I remember getting a prayer shawl, and I remember always thinking about whoever was making this, praying for me or whoever would get this. It's just that whole general thoughtfulness and prayer idea, and how much that meant to me.
But you also got a quilt.
I did get a quilt.
Ladies in Rochester.
I got a quilt from a group of women who always started working on a quilt without knowing who it would be for. And they said that traditionally, during the course of making the quilt, a name would come up of someone they should get it. And I was a lucky recipient. Now these were friends of a friend. I have never even met any of these women, and I treasure that quilt forever. So I think there's just a lot to be said for how we look at that.
It was actually the mother of a friend of our son's.
And then Louise put on that she had a close friend facing surgery, and so she wrote a prayer of healing on the back of the quilt. And she put a note asking her to take it with her to the hospital, stand it on her bed so that she can enjoy seeing it as she recovers, and she can remember that she's being prayed for. I love that.
Yep, that's very cool.
That is just very, very personal. And then Susan Bobach actually gave a suggestion for a quilt prayer, and she said this was revived from something else. It fits into the whole idea of the quilting. And I thought, we're just taking that idea and moving it to cards, and I just love it. And so this is
I didn't know there was such a thing as a quilt prayer.
Well, I don't know if there's a standard one, but I mean, it's like stitched in love, all the things that you think about with quilting. And prayer shawls. Well, I'm sure kind of the whole idea. But anyway, this is her version that she shared with us. And said, may the grace of God be upon you, warming, comforting, enfolding, embracing, and sustaining you in good times as well as difficult. This prayer has been prayed while the pieces have been put together.
Very cool.
And I thought, so just all of the feelings that kind of come up with this whole idea. So we're inviting each and every one of you to join us in making these Project Prayer Quilt cards. I just love it. And I'll put the link. And on Facebook, you just find Back Porch Stampers is the group we're in where everyone's sharing their work. And I also put a link on here to Jjlie Heitz's Facebook page. It starts with the chirpy card maker. But I'll put it on here. But thank you for spending this time with us.
Yep.
So
This is fun.
talk to you soon.
Bye.